Hi, I'm David Gerard, and this is Pivot to AI, coming to you daily, Monday to Friday. Today we have an interview with Molly White, a fairly illustrious cryptocurrency tracker and critic who I've known for years. And one of her current projects is Tech Influence Watch, which I really want to go into because it covers our very good friends in AI trying to bias the political process. But there's a lot more to get through. So, Molly, hello. Please introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hello, good to see you. I'm Molly White. I am a cryptocurrency researcher and writer. I also write about the sort of broader technology world once in a while, including AI. And I've recently started, well, not so recently, started following the influence of the technology industry, specifically crypto, and now also the artificial intelligence industry on the American political system after they became heavily involved in campaign spending in 2024 and leading up into the current 2026 midterms.
Is it the same guys?
Yes, it largely is. The crypto industry has been spending, like I said, for a little bit longer. They really got heavily involved in 2024, and then AI has really ramped up their spending now in 2026. But you see a lot of the same names. There's Andreessen Horowitz, which is a large backer of the cryptocurrency super PACs in 2024. This cycle, they're splitting their funding between AI and crypto super PACs, and then there's figures like Chris Larson, who runs Ripple, a cryptocurrency platform, who has been a major political donor, obviously trying to advance cryptocurrency interests, but has actually become pretty involved in the AI spending in this cycle as well. So there's a lot of overlap between the two. And even the super PACs are run by the same people. The spokesperson for Fairshake, which is the lead cryptocurrency super PAC, also runs Leading the Future, which is one of the biggest AI super PACs, both again heavily backed by Andreessen Horowitz.
Yeah. It's like one of my basic theses is that AI is literally crypto with a different technology as the excuse.
Hmm.
But it's literally the same guys, but they make it really obvious. Like,
Yeah.
everything about the bubble makes more sense if you remember that Sam Altman's still a crypto bro.
Yep. Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys have their fingers in both pots. A lot of the crypto companies are trying to integrate AI because crypto's a little bit 4 years ago. Yeah, and AI is the hot new thing. And so, they want to make sure that they're still making interesting press releases. And so AI is becoming a big crypto thing as well.
Yeah. I mean, Amy and I noticed this, and this is why we started covering the AI as well. Pivot to AI started directly inspired by Molly's site. Web3 is going just great. How's that site going now? I mean, you don't have as much to cover, but somehow you're still not running out of material.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the frequency and scale of the hacks has actually really not slowed down that much. There've been billions of dollars in hacks, and I would say that AI,
Dollars.
well, yes, exactly. And, AI, I think, is actually accelerating that to some extent because a lot of the attackers are using AI to find pretty sloppy code, that has been sufficient to date, but, maybe can't stand up to a more automated pen testing.
It
Um,
turns out that vibe coding your smart contracts has an obvious issue that you
right.
might occur to you if you weren't stupid and greedy.
Right. Well, and there's this weird dichotomy in the crypto world where half of the industry is terrified about AI exploiting all of their smart contracts, and half of the industry is trying to sell you AI to write your smart contracts. And so, it's a little bit unclear what the stance is on that. But yeah, I mean, Web3 is
Whatever
going
needs
just
to be in
great.
that sentence.
Yeah, right, exactly. Whoever you're speaking to, you can tailor it. But, yeah, I mean, Web3 is going just great. Continues to track a staggering amount of fraud and hacks and scams and just general malfeasance in the crypto world.
Yeah. It's interesting because I don't. Well, you see, a lot of the scam is the same as in AI, where you have this illiquid nonsense that you made up,
Mhm.
and then you put a dollar sign in front and you claim, I'm a billionaire.
Right.
See my stack of minor altcoins. And these aren't money, of course. Like if you have some weird ask coin and it turns into some other coin and it turns into Ethereum, which you can turn into dollars. It's like 4 steps removed from actually being money, but they still put a dollar sign on stop because it stops people thinking.
Yeah.
And one thing with the crypto political influence, um, crypto notoriously it can print its own money and
Mhm.
then spend it on politics. Ripple just does this. They print XRPs and they sell them, and that's money.
Mhm.
And this is all public facts. And um, AI can't quite do that yet. They're trying really hard. They tried to make the tokens into tokens. Yeah. But what is the money just, are they just spending the venture capital cash on this or what are they doing?
Well, I mean, it's I guess a little hard to say where the money is coming from inside the companies, but I mean, a lot of these companies are kind of swimming in cash from VCs,
Hmm.
from these various deals that they've done. I mean, we've seen these AI companies' ability to subsidize the AI software that they're selling to people almost, uh, entirely. A lot of if you look at the math around how expensive these models are and then how much they're actually asking people to pay for it, it's heavily subsidized, and that's because they have, this huge pool of cash that they can draw on right now, especially with AI being the hot new thing. Stocks are, doing pretty well in these AI companies. So they have money, and some of that money is going towards politics. Um, the same thing is true in crypto. I mean, they have money, even dollars, whether it's from VC, whether it's from token sales, it could be a mix of things. And a lot of it's going into politics. And I think what they've realized is that because, our political system allows this unlimited spending by corporations to influence politics by installing pro crypto or pro AI legislators who will then advance your regulatory agenda or get rid of those pesky regulators who are maybe filing enforcement actions against your companies. It actually turns into just sort of the smart business move to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on congressional races. And, crypto did it in 2024. They were pretty successful with it. They bought, a dozen or so Congress people who were very pro crypto and who have helped to pass things like the Genius Act, which is the stablecoin legislation. They've installed Trump, who has wiped out a lot of the regulatory capacity and installed loyalists who are essentially shutting down any crypto enforcement. And it's been, I think, a great return on investment for the crypto industry. And so I think the AI industry has seen that happening. They also see regulatory danger in their future, whether it's from states trying to put some guardrails around AI companies and, potentially make them liable for harms or
Mm.
things like that. There's obviously AI data center moratoriums that a lot of these companies are concerned about. And so I think they look at the crypto industry and they say, let's give it a shot. Let's try to get our friends in Congress to shut down this pesky regulatory threat. And if it takes a couple $100 million, but that allows us to sell our AI models and to reap in, all this VC cash and, our stock price goes up, it's worth it. And so I think, that it's sort of a new model that we're starting to see emerge in the political sphere.
What a fabulous phrase that is. It's just a new model, bro.
Yeah.
Next model.
Right.
But it's how I'm wondering because data centers are a bipartisan public issue. Nobody wants these things. And it's
Right.
to the point where politicians are actively reaching out to that portion of the electorate and saying, yeah, we've got to stop all these data centers. They're
Mhm.
very unpopular. And I would like to keep my job, you know? So I'm wondering, how can they do against that pressure of money? Because there's an obvious attack. Yes, you're taking money from the AI bros. We can't trust you, you know?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's become an issue this cycle because, when crypto has spent heavily in elections, it's not become that much of a campaign issue. We've
It
seen
doesn't, does it?
certainly.
They just buy
Right.
influence rather than issues.
Yeah, and the every once in a while, one of the opponents of someone who's receiving crypto cash will speak out against, billionaire funding and that kind of thing. But no one's debating crypto policy, on stage at political debates.
Nobody cares.
Whereas, yeah, nobody cares. And the crypto industry claims that all these people are clamoring for legislation. It's not really true. Um,
Nobody cares. Nobody
Nobody
cares about
cares. Yeah.
crypto. It died when FTX, when Terra Luna died, and when FTX died, and when Sam Bankman-Fried went to jail
Too many
and
salt
is still in
scams.
jail and is staying there. I mean,
Right.
perhaps I'm being a bit hopeful with that name error, but it's just
Yeah, I mean, it's not a galvanizing issue for public voters, for the public in general. Whereas, we've seen, for example, in New York's District 12, there was huge spending from AI in that race to try to target Alex Boris, who is this previous state legislator who had been fairly aggressive about crypto or about AI, sorry. And it actually turned into a huge campaign issue, and I think to some extent actually elevated Boris's profile. He was ultimately defeated, but we haven't seen this sort of grave dancing that you typically see after the crypto victories, because I think AI super PACs realized it was a really mixed victory where they had to spend, almost $20 million, I think more than $20 million on that race. Um, because there was this warring element between sort of the OpenAI faction of AI super PACs and the Anthropic faction of AI super PACs, which is another element that doesn't really exist in the crypto political world. The crypto PACs are largely aligned. And then we saw actual voters who care a lot about this stuff, who did not like the fact that OpenAI was putting, over $10 million into this race to try to defeat Boris, who was seen as sort of the public hero because, he was speaking out against this AI spending and the sort of deregulatory agenda. And then ultimately the winner of that race was someone who was actually fairly aligned with Boris, who was not really, on board with the OpenAI agenda. And so it was this sort of, yeah, it was not a great moment for the AI super PACs. And I think they have sort of taken a minute to reevaluate how things are going because they've realized that this is actually an issue that people care about. They don't want data centers next door to their house. They worry about being replaced because their boss thinks that AI can do their job. And so, there's this actual real voter concern that this industry is grappling with that didn't really exist in the crypto world.
so I'm interested. Actually, I had not heard that there was a rift between the OpenAI PACs and the Anthropic PACs. Tell me
Yeah.
more. I'm interested now.
Yeah. So OpenAI has been, they were sort of the first entrant into the political sphere with this leading the future network of super PACs that really mirrors the crypto super PAC strategy that Fairshake has done, where there's sort of the lead pack and then there's two subsidiary packs almost that are one being sort of the conservative arm and one the progressive arm. And they started spending, and then Anthropic, which is one of the biggest competitors to OpenAI, saw that spending. They claim essentially that because they saw OpenAI's spending, they decided they had to enter this fray. Whether or not you believe that, or you think they were just sort of trying to do the same thing, who knows? But
Bit of both.
um,
I'd
yeah,
say a
so,
bit
yeah,
of
probably
both
both.
because they really hate each other a whole lot.
They do,
Lots.
yeah.
They hate each other lots.
And also, it's been sort of a marketing opportunity, I think, for Anthropic to say that, hey, we're the good guys. We are really interested in protecting the public. We don't want this scary AI to get out of control. That's always their sort of stated position.
We blow up
Um,
children with a lot of angst in our
Yeah,
hearts.
exactly. We feel bad about it. Um and so they really entered the fray, and there was this real war between the two super PACs in that District 12 race in New York, where the pro crypto super PAC spent like $17 million, or sorry, the OpenAI super PAC spent
It's easy
like
to get
seven.
confused.
I know my wording falls apart in these things, but there was this huge outflow of money to support, or to oppose Alex Boris, like almost $17 million. And then we saw the Anthropic super PACs coming in and spending $8 million to support. And then there was also these uh, sort of fringe PACs that came in. That's where Chris Larson was spending. We saw a super PAC that was created by, or that says it was created by developers who care a lot about, AI guardrails. Again, with dark money in the mix, who knows who's actually funding it? But
I would
um,
I would guess my first guess would be a bunch of the effective altruists who really believe in the AI doomsday.
yeah,
And
well, and
have
that's
you
the sort
seen
of
have you seen
Anthropic end of things.
Dustin Moscovitz's name anywhere?
Not publicly, but again, a lot of this money is coming through dark money networks where who really knows where that money is coming from.
He's moderately public about what he does, or it can be traced a couple of levels, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, there's been this war where there's OpenAI, which largely wants very little regulation. They want no data center moratoriums. They're terrified of states being allowed to basically become involved in this whole fight. And then there's the Anthropic end of things. It's like, no, 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 we do want guardrails. We do want responsible legislation, which very much echoes the crypto sort of talking point of like, we just want safe rules of the road. We want, everyone to be able to trust what's happening. But it's, I think, a lot of PR mostly.
Yeah,
And
one reason they want it obviously is because regulation means only the biggest guys can
yes.
meet the regulations, and that's Anthropic and OpenAI.
Right, and that's sort of what I try to point out about a lot of this Anthropic spending, because on the face, it sounds very that their super PAC is called public first. It's very like, we're gonna protect the public and be the good guys. And they got that PR boost when they sort of pushed back against the Trump administration, and so they're really trying to cash in, I think, on that reputation. But you do have to realize that this is a huge company that is trying to use political spending as a way of advancing its corporate interests. And, by using the politics end of things to push that same narrative, they're actually really bolstering their bottom line. And, if you are pushing for that type of regulation where only the biggest players can, uh, actually follow whatever legislation is put in place, then you are building sort of this moat around your business where the regulators are actually essentially getting rid of your competition. And so I think, people should be cautious about actually putting too much stock in Anthropic's story of what they're actually doing.
Yeah, so this race, it sounds like they all managed to shoot each other, and so the candidate who actually won wasn't backed by any of them?
Well, so all of the spending in that race was either to support or oppose Alex Boris, and it wasn't entirely clear who they really wanted in the race. They just didn't want him. But they did end up getting Michael Lasher, who has been somewhat outspoken about AI, and who I think was forced to take even more of a strong stance on it because of the amount of spending that happened in that race. If these super PACs hadn't put that much money into this race, there would have been much less focus on AI, in that particular battle, because it is obviously an issue that voters care about. But when you compare it to things like the economy or war or, the sort of typical voter issues, it doesn't tend to rate highest on the list. And so I think a lot of this was sort of self-inflicted by the companies deciding to enter the fray in such a big splashy way.
They turned a vague national issue into a very focused local issue, and
Right.
as a local issue, data centers are poison.
Right. Absolutely. And also people just hate that, there are these huge billionaire companies spending, many, many millions of dollars in their local race in ways that disenfranchise the actual constituents who, these people are supposed to be representing. And now you have millions of billions of dollars from AI companies saying, hey, please put our interests first. And voters don't like that because they don't trust that the person who is being backed by these companies is going to actually put the constituents' concerns first and not these, mega corporations that don't usually have that much of a local interest.
Yeah. Um, it's it's hard. I'm wondering what they actually sort of want from this. I mean, really, they're just a bunch of libertarians who think they know best because they have the most money. But and view regulations as an impediment to the glorious singularity future. Sam Altman declared the singularity on Saturday, by the way. It
Oh,
was,
wow.
as
I
we
hadn't even
record, that
heard.
was 2 or 3 days ago. Um, it's here now.
Wow. I mean, I haven't
It's
noticed anything different, but
it's pretty good. You can talk to your robot and it talks back now.
Oh.
Turns out it's a lying idiot, unfortunately, but
Yeah, right.
these things happen. We didn't ever say the singularity wouldn't be very, very stupid.
Yeah, it seems very boring, but what did I know?
So these companies, there's one important fact about AI, the absolutely critical material fact about the AI bubble and the AI industry as it exists right now is gravity eventually works. They're going to run out of money. They're spending money at a rate that can't go on, and things that can't go on stop.
That's what I've been
So
told.
what I, I'm I've been saying this for a couple of years or a year or two, and so has Itron, of course. And so now, finally, is the mainstream press who suddenly discovered, I do believe we might be in a bubble. I'm shocked. So they're going to run out of money. I put it sometime next year. And looking at the recent crash this weekend, everyone's going, is this the end at last? Is this the end? Is this the end?
Mm.
And by the time that I put this out, there might be 2 more crashes. Who knows? But
Yeah.
it's not stable, and people, the vibe is a bit going a bit off.
Mm.
At some point, they're gonna actually run out of money because you can only spend all the money in venture capital and all the money in private credit and all the money you can borrow once. And
Mhm.
what happens to the PAC funding when these guys run out of cash? I'm assuming Mark Andreessen will still be a rich man, but
Unfortunately, yes. Seems like no matter how many times crypto crashes or, tech crashes, AI crashes, somehow Andreessen Horowitz gets out just fine. But yeah, I mean, I think part of me has this theory that, this political spending that we're seeing is evidence of an industry in distress. That was sort of the case with crypto where things were not going very well. They were very scared about the regulatory implications of the previous administration. The excitement had died down. People again were talking about a bubble that was going to be ending, and then suddenly we saw this political spending that to some extent reinvigorated the crypto industry, although that was very short-lived, and we've seen crypto prices fall below even what they were at the start of Trump's term. Um,
the number I always look at with crypto is the retail volumes on Coinbase because 'cause they're
right.
still, like, in the toilet.
Yeah, no.
The ordinary suckers, I believe there are some people who just really, really want to be suckers. They're the people who want to be scammed. They're looking for a get rich quick scheme. They
Mhm.
actively look for these. These are the people who used to get in the Ponzi schemes, ostrich farms, and so on. But they've left crypto. I call this the fool and rube gap, where we have to wonder what's happened to these guys. Have they got into sports gambling on prediction markets? Have they got
Yeah.
into just playing the slots on Robinhood?
Or, were they totally wiped out and they don't have any money left to put into it, but
There's always more suckers later, but
that's true, but
what they're just not interested in crypto anymore. So Wall Street crypto was a sort of, let's put a big price tag on a big pile of bitcoins,
Mhm,
and that are illiquid and we cannot actually sell them, but we'll borrow against them. That was
mhm.
Strategy's whole strategy. And you wonder, they need the retail dollars because there's no other dollars coming into crypto that are actual dollars.
Well, that's partly my theory around the political spending is that they were so desperate for new dollars because they had exhausted a lot of what they had previously been targeting that, this political push has actually enabled more money to flow into the system because a lot of these companies were able to go public. They were allowed to launch new products that they had not previously been permitted to launch. They got the sort of endorsement of the Trump administration and the regulators, and so institutions were more willing to enter the fray. And so I do think that it gave crypto a sort of, you know, second wind a little bit, but it, has not really solved their problems. But again, when it comes to AI, I think it may be a very similar thing where we see these AI companies starting to get involved in politics to open up the doors of what they're able to do. Certainly, we've seen them pursuing government contracts in huge ways. I think they are using this political involvement as a way to try to open doors to new money that they could not previously access. But again, as you mentioned, there's only so much money, and something that cannot go on forever will eventually stop. And I do think that even if they have the crypto outcome where they briefly extend the lifespan of the bubble, eventually we are going to run into a situation where this is just frankly not sustainable. And we're going to see a huge realignment in the AI industry, the amount of money that they're able to access, the amount that they're able to subsidize these products that they're offering to people, and it is going to be incredibly disruptive, I think.
Yeah. It's the crypto bros are they can't actually generate dollars much anymore. They can't go for the big prize, which is basically the pension pots. There's $14 trillion or something like that in pension funds in the US.
Hmm.
And that's the most sensitive retail money. It got to the point where the world's least active investors, the pension fund holders, were calling up their providers saying, don't buy SpaceX,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
they could recognize a blatant scam that threatened them personally.
Mhm.
And those guys, you don't think about your pension fund. You say,
Right.
I'll take the conservative one, I'll take the risky one. You don't think about what's inside the pot, because
Right.
you know that you can't think about this stuff. But everyone could recognize that SpaceX was poison, and they
Mhm.
called up. Not many backed out, but it's like the stock price is going down, down, down.
Mhm.
And Elon has to pull another rabbit out the hat, and I don't know what. I mean, I won't put it past him to do something, but he's going to have to pull another one out
I
the
heard
hat.
he's gonna be producing the Odyssey with AI, so that could save him maybe. I assume it
Oh,
will
it'll be
happen just after he
fantastic.
goes to Mars.
Yes, it'll be historically accurate. That
Yes.
is, all these guys will be people telling big stories and not actually hugely rich, powerful guys. It'll be fabulous.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do think that, crypto is trying to access that pension money. We're seeing the push. Yeah, we're seeing the push for, changes in legislation that would allow for that. And, I think that is a real concern that, that's the outcome of allowing this type of unfettered political spending is that you get Congress people, you get presidents like Trump who think, well, maybe that's not such a bad idea. And it's everyday people who rely on that money who ultimately bear the cost of it.
I thought it was hilarious that even Tether, the central bank of crypto, is trying to pivot to AI.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it's rare to see a crypto company these days that is not trying to do something with AI. They all I think feel that their product is no longer the bubble. It's no longer the free money machine that it was. It used to be you just tack blockchain or crypto or web3 into your marketing materials and the VC funds come crashing down into your pockets, but now it's AI and crypto is sort of last time. And so, you see a lot of, what your podcast is called, the pivot to AI.
It's like they they're slowly coming to realize that really nobody believed all the libertarian promotion stuff. Like, I know
Yeah.
crypto people who are very sincere libertarians,
Mm.
and like they're actually quite sincere about other people's freedom.
Mhm.
And we'll disagree in a lot of details, but they're not liars in that
Right.
regard. And they are really disconcerted by Trump's authoritarianism, for example.
Right.
And
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's heartwarming,
we've seen the libertarian veneer sort of wear off a lot of the crypto,
but not
elite, I
off all
guess.
of them. And I'll give them
No, it's
credit
not
for
off of
that.
all of them, but it doesn't tend to be the people who are running these huge
Oh,
companies,
no, no, no,
right?
no, no.
They spouted a lot of the same things as some of the genuine ideologues, but as soon as they realized that, getting cozy with the state would potentially bolster their profits, that all went right out the window. And so you don't see a lot of those same, every once in a while they'll make a nod to something about, financial freedom and all this type of stuff, but for the most part, they're totally happy to align with state power if it bolsters their company. And so the libertarian vein is pretty quiet these days.
Well, they just don't get the voice. But,
Yeah.
it was right there in Satoshi's white paper. We need an ETF on Wall Street.
Right. We need BlackRock putting money into Bitcoin.
That is the true decentralization, untouchable money.
Yep.
Right. We're coming up to half an hour, and that's quite enough because my attention span is as limited as everyone else's. But so, Molly, where can the world find you?
So my newsletter is citationneeded.news, and all of my product or projects like Tech Influence Watch live under that name. So influence.citationneeded.news is where you can find the crypto and AI political influence tracker, and everything else is linked from there.
And citationneeded.news is also a newsletter which has
Yeah.
subscribers, and you can read
Yes.
for free, or you can throw Molly a few bucks, which is an excellent investment in an amazing newsletter that basically, when people ask me to cover crypto now, I say, go read Molly's thing.
Yeah. Well, and when
So
people
we
tell me to
salute your
do
sacrifice of your brain to this stuff.
when people tell me to do Web3 is going just great for AI, I just send them your way. So it's a symbiotic thing.
Absolutely. It keeps you from being nagged. So,
Yes.
and now, of course, we've gone. This is why Pivot to AI always had all the stories on the front page.
Mhm.
But now, of course, they're all 800 words. So these things happen. Anyway, thank you so much for coming along, Molly.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
um, thank you to viewers. We will see you again on Monday. And bye for now. No, I keep forgetting that's not a push button and this is not a touch screen.